around in Ferguson, Missouri, don't we?
Sure.
Who do we have that's just sitting around that doesn't do much? Travis! Oh, hi,
Travis.
Good morning, Travis.
I didn't realize I was going on assignment.
Good morning, Travis. Who's going on assignment?
Who's paying for my ticket? You're me pay for my own ticket to go to Ferguson, Missouri to report for you, aren't you?
To get rocks thrown at you.
Oh, boy. Yeah, did you see that?
Yeah.
So somebody threw rocks at Chris Hayes. He's okay, right?
He's fine. He's fine.
I'm tougher than Chris Hayes is. I could take it.
I love this. Somebody, Joel tweeted us already this morning. CNN anchor wonders why police don't just use water cannons on Ferguson protesters. Oh, that's a good idea. What?
We're in a drought.
Right?
I don't know that Ferguson is. There's some areas of the country that are having floods.
This were happening in California.
Well,
we know there would be no water cannons.
You just run a hose from Missouri to California.
There'd be like one of those, like the squirt gun that shoots grape jelly. That's Island of Misfit Toys. That's what we'd have.
Or you could just hook up the other end. Oh.
Sorry.
Yeah.
There we go.
Or you could just hook up the other end of the hose to your house and just have a wine cannon because your house is filled with wine.
I'm not giving up my wine.
That's a waste. That's alcohol abuse.
Dear God. All right, we have Bob Seska and Charlie Pierce. And Charlie Pierce with some really, as he does, just some really perceptive stuff about what's going on. Because it got worse overnight. I guess calling off the curfew was not a good idea. Governor Nixon, he is. I'm not sure anybody's doing a great job in this whole situation, to be honest. The police chief, skedaddle.
Yeah. And where is this cop? Do we know that he's not left the country?
I don't know. President Obama will send Eric Holder, I believe. Is it tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah. President Obama announced he will send Attorney General Eric Holder to Ferguson, Missouri to take stock of the tense situation there, and predicted Congress will reevaluate the merits of federal programs that arm local police with military gear.
And Paul Ryan warned his fellow Congress members to not grandstand on the issue of Ferguson.
Yeah.
So it sounds like Obama and Paul Ryan are going to be at odds on this.
Wow. Paul Ryan thinks we need to militarize the police further?
Paul Ryan thinks we ought to do nothing.
Oh, I see. Right.
And Obama is urging Congress to do something. So therein lies the fight.
Okay.
But they're good at doing nothing.
Yeah.
That's what Congress does these days.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who thinks this is a good idea of policing. Really? Like we were saying yesterday. First of all, fatigues. You're in front of a convenience store. We can see you.
Yeah.
They're cops. They're not soldiers.
Yeah.
Period.
I mean, and on rooftops, aiming, in sniper positions, aiming assault weapon. What are you going to do? I mean, seriously, you're going to start picking off protesters?
This isn't Fallujah.
Yeah,
exactly. This is America. That's not how it's supposed to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Travis. See, just for that statement alone, just for that slice of Americana is why we invite you in here every now and again.
Every once in a while, a good thing comes out of his mouth.
If you're a good American, get down there on the ground and start reporting for us from Ferguson before they start the water cannons. Let's go.
I'm waiting for my e-ticket to show up from StephanieMiller.com. I know it's on your budget, so I know it's an empty threat.
I'll get right on that. Yeah, I personally am going to take a strong stand against GI Cop, is all I'm saying.
Go! Alert! GI Cop attacks!
Ready to occupy your strip mall. It's the GI Cop Battle Starbucks Fortress. GI Cop! Complete with hardened Dodge Chargers and missile-firing armored personnel carriers.
Time to break out the 20mm Vulcan cannon.
GI Cop! You put your men into position. But wait, there's a civilian carrying an iPhone and a blueberry scone. Ready, aim, fire!
GI Cop comes with his own tank to occupy the Family Dollar parking lot.
Now, time to occupy the sector between Best Buy and Bed Bath & Beyond. You spot trouble with someone holding something that looks like a gun. Is that person a patriot or a thug? You use your shoulder-mounted pigment scanner to determine whether to give him a ride home or use your taser.
My GI Cop has camouflage, so he can't be seen in Missouri.
Get the GI Cop Battle Starbucks Fortress today. GI Cop! Unnecessary heavy armament sold separately.
All right. Thank you, Rocky Mountain Mike and Richard Hensel and Gus in Grand Rapids.
Gus in Grand Rapids played the kid.
Wow.
Nicely done, Gus.
Yes, he's a child actor.
Did you see John Oliver this weekend?
I did not. I saw little bits and pieces.
Yeah, it's still sitting on my TiVo. I still need to watch it.
He was making fun of the militarization of the police, and he had two guys. It was stoner dudes in cars, and they're going, dude, look at that Humvee. They were just going off about how awesome this thing was. It's armored.
Yeah. I think Progress has a good piece we'll get to later about the most outrageous police tactics. And as I keep saying, I'm not a cop hater. In fact, I'm a cop lover. I was at a cop party this last Saturday.
I know you're a cop lover.
With a former cop. Let's not talk about that. It was many years ago. The point is,
You made out with him like
friend.
you made out with Travis.
It was a guy cop?
Listen,
Yes.
What?
You
get drunk
I've
and
got some blurred lines going on.
You get drunk and experiment with heterosexuality.
Okay, my
Unlike
point is,
It's the other way around. It's supposed to be the other way around. We're going to lose her. We're going to lose her to the other team.
I know.
no, come back.
Come in one morning and she'll look like June Cleaver. Like, what happened?
Pearls.
Actually, I would pay to see that. Her in a dress with jewelry.
All right. Well, she wears a dress on occasion, but I like to see her in an A-line dress.
Yes.
I do, I can't talk about it, but I do have a boy in my life. Not like that, but you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
But I do that stuff. I cook, I make sure there's coffee, Okay.
I don't know.
What's happening? Are my eggs reactivating? What's going on?
No, it's too late for that.
You never know. Wait, was that my grape jelly gun, or was that my...
That was your eggs reactivated.
You ovulated.
Oh, my God, I just ovulated. All right. Anyway, but yeah, this is getting, it's hard to tell what's going on. We have like dueling autopsies already. There's this new witness. And again, it depends on, it seems like people like Charlie writes about this. You have your preconceived notions. And he was even saying, who knows what happens with the autopsies, that if people have a preconceived idea of exactly what happened, they're going to use that to confirm exactly what they think happened. And this is what's hard. I mean, in this, I don't think she's new. She did take footage, but unfortunately it was after everything that happened.
Nobody has footage of the time that he was shot. Everybody has footage of the aftermath.
Right. And obviously the, autopsy done by Dr. Bodden and this witness, I mean, I think, you can't help your first reaction. Your first reaction is you feel like this cop story is not kind of lining up. I mean, it clearly seems like, and based on this witness and what she said, like he got angry and overreacted, obviously, if that's the case. The new eyewitness recorded footage of Michael Brown on her phone, says he was chased down by Officer Darren Wilson. She said, I knew the police shouldn't have been chasing this young boy and firing at the same time. According to her, Wilson looked like he was trying to pull Brown into the police car. Because, of course, the police story is the opposite, right? Is that he rushed or he tried to
get into the car.
Yeah, which that's a little counterintuitive, too. Again, I don't mean to, because I don't, you're right, Chris, unless there's footage, we don't know exactly. So she said it upset the officer that Brown got away and he began firing at him. By her account, when one of the bullets grazed Brown's arm, he turned around. And then was shot multiple times. And this first autopsy, that would be consistent. One of the shots, they said, could have come from behind, the one on his arm, and then he turned around to stop. She described how after Brown was lying dead on the street, Wilson looks baffled, like, what have I just done? And maybe that is the case. Like, maybe he overreacted and then went, but it just... And
did you hear... CNN and Fox News were all over this yesterday. There was a caller into the Dana Loesch show. She's based in St. Louis.
Right.
And who claimed to be a friend of the cop and gave the cop side of the story.
Which was... although, as we know, anyone with an opposable thumb can call a radio show.
Exactly.
I bet they're going to call our show now. Thanks, Chris.
No, they claim that, Brown lunged for the gun and blah, blah, blah. But... we don't know who this person was who called in. It could be anybody, yet Fox News and CNN were all over it yesterday, pushing it out there as truth, which I think is highly irresponsible of them. In between speculating whether water cannons should now be used in addition to the other.
It's not shocking for Fox News to report that, but CNN I have a little bit higher standards for them.
And then I had a here we go again moment, because then it leaked that Michael Brown reportedly had marijuana in his system, and I'm like, oh boy, are we back to this Trayvon thing where we're smearing someone?
It does not necessitate an execution.
Right, exactly. And
if he did have a marijuana system, he's probably not. But
here we go again. It's the rethugging of the the victim. Like, he was a.
Right. And Greta Van Susteren was thinking yesterday that maybe the marijuana system is what made him go crazy. Like,
yeah.
Do you know what marijuana does? It puts you to sleep. Right. It doesn't make you.
Yeah.
So this one is according to the autopsy by the St. Louis Medical Examiner, a different autopsy than the independent one commissioned by the Brown family. Says, essentially the same. Michael Brown was shot between 6 and 8 times from the front. But this one had marijuana in his system at the time of the shooting. Mary Case, the medical examiner, interestingly, confirmed only multiple gunshot wounds. An anonymous source close to the report told the Washington Post about the marijuana. So that's the other thing, is you think people are, like, trying to leak stuff, I guess, from both sides going... But, you're right, Chris. It struck me the same as I'm like, okay, how is that relevant?
It's not relevant at all.
How is it relevant about Trayvon Martin or
not at all?
And again, it's the thing of...
Oh, and by the way, sorry, Travis, sure. The convenience store said they didn't release this tape, or excuse me, they weren't the ones that called 911. I guess someone in the store called 911, and they weren't going to release this surveillance video, but then, the cops demanded it.
Yeah, and a website called Addicting Info claims they have a video of Brown paying for the cigars.
I saw that,
and I'm like, Addicting Info, I don't.
I know.
Who are they?
Nobody. Yeah.
Well, this is what happens in all these stories.
Footage.
Is you like what's? And by the way, when we're the most responsible news outlet, something has really gone awry.
Yeah, I know.
Because this is what happens. Like I saw that and I thought, well, I'm not going to report that because I don't know if that's
they're not
true.
a major news
source. And if it is,
so.
I'm sure it'll come out. But
right.
Travis, what were you?
No, I was just going to say it's the same thing as with Trayvon, though. They shoot to kill, so there's no one to testify against them.
Right.
And now we're only going to, it's like Trayvon again. We're only going to get one side of the story.
Zimmerman is not a cop. He's a big, fat, mall cop.
There is a little bit.
There's a little bit of a difference, but it's still that same idea. There's no one to testify against them.
Right.
And it's like, is that what they're being taught? Is this what this whole militarization thing is going down to?
And again, you don't know for sure, but it appears to me that the cop must have gotten angry. This is not, no matter which side of the story it is, that's not proper police procedure to start firing lethal shots at somebody that's, whether they're fleeing you or, I guess the cop story, at least the last I heard, is that he was rushing him. Yeah. But again, just seems counterintuitive that you're the guy that's unarmed, that you would rush at a cop that's armed. And
opening fire on you already.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, all right. So
someone tweeted, says, "I'll be calling the Stephanie Miller Show later. I'm a friend of somebody who lives near Missouri. I hope you put me through."
Get ready, Travis.
My grandpa's from Missouri. I should be an expert on this.
Just magically on both sides pop up. Okay, 18 minutes after the hour. Oh no.
They called Dana Loesch, so Dana Loesch said that.
I'll probably just bathe in that soothing voice.
That's her getting excited over some news.
Right. Some unsubstantiated rumor. Great. 18 minutes after the hour, right back on the Stephanie Miller Show. Holy cow. Yeah, in case you just woke up, just tuned in, things got worse overnight in Ferguson, unfortunately. A lot of clouds of tear gas smoke. It literally, when you turn on the television and don't know if you're looking at, Gaza, Iraq.
Right.
Or
Insane.
Missouri. Yeah. Police deployed noisemakers and armored vehicles. Reportedly bottles and Molotov cocktails were thrown from the crowd. The reports that some officers came under heavy gunfire. At least 2 people were shot. 31 were arrested. As we were saying, there's audio. I guess Chris Hayes was reporting, obviously for MSNBC, and had rocks thrown at him.
A riot squad, a riot kind of cordon. We've got folks walking past us right now on their way back. Now, I want to just keep you in mind here. We've been out here since the live show at 7 p.m. Central. And whoa! Hey!
And what's up, Chris? You know what? They're throwing rocks at us. Let's. You know what? We are telling the true story.
Yeah.
Yikes. I'm just reading this, and a grand jury could begin hearing evidence tomorrow to determine whether the officer will be charged in Brown's death. We all saw that yesterday, very emotional press conference with the parents. They did, Michael Baden did their own autopsy. And, as we were saying, it appears to, it's hard to say from an autopsy, obviously 100% conclusively, but after a preliminary autopsy that was performed this weekend by Michael Baden that showed he was shot at least 6 times, the teenager's mother had one question: what else do we need to give them to arrest the killer of my child? Dr. Baden said, addressed the media, saying there's no evidence of a struggle, which is a key detail at odds with the police reported accounts of what happened. The information, anyway, they're saying so far with this autopsy largely consistent with eyewitness accounts of Brown's fatal encounter. A friend who was with Brown at the time said the teen, who was unarmed, had his hands in the air and was trying to surrender. And then the big thing, we talked about this yesterday, at a height of 6'4", the top of Brown's head would have had to been facing downward when the final bullet entered his head. I think Dr. Bodden said that that was the fatal one, that the other ones were survivable, I guess, as he put it. Let's see. Daryl Parks, another family attorney, said, we believe that given those types of facts, it shows this officer should have been arrested. The questions surrounding Brown's death could have been answered on day one if they were really trying to have transparency. And it seems like that's what a lot of this is about, is it's the way all this stuff has been leaked and or handled or not. Bodden appeared to criticize the Ferguson police for the way the case was handled, noting that putting information out sooner on Brown's death and talking to his family could have calmed tensions within the community. Charlie Pierce, as he does, write so movingly about it's a lot of it, you have to look at not just the substance, but the optics, the fact that they left his body there for so long. Yeah. I mean, he quoted an old Billie Holiday song, for those of you that know what I'm talking about. You can read Charlie Pierce's piece and understand that, but it's just like, what was that about? And why that disrespect? And was that a message to other people? And it just, you can see why tensions are so inflamed there. Let's go to Paul in Seattle. You're on the Stephanie Miller Show. Hey, Paul.
Hey, Steph. I got to wonder, where is the NRA in all this, encouraging all of these black folk down in Missouri to get their guns out? Missouri is an open carry state, and if not for an unjustifiable shooting, what other reason is there to stand up to your government with your gun?
Yeah, exactly. Because I think there have been guns displayed, and you're like, hey, what's going on? It's not a Chipotle. How come you're not out here supporting that? Well, because the fact is, open carry anywhere is not a good idea. The Boston Massacre turned out to be a justifiable shooting and defended by none other than John Adams, and that didn't prevent people from starting a revolution, did it? No. Bring out your gun. I gotta wonder, where's that gun-toting sissy Billy calling up here to tell you how he... Oh, well, he would if he wasn't banned.
Yeah, he's banned from the show.
But other stray yahoos are encouraged to call.
Yes. See what Road Flyer Mary has to say about this.
Yeah, there you go. But didn't we ban her, too?
No, we haven't banned her.
All right, the president yesterday.
We have all seen images of protesters and law enforcement in the streets. It's clear that the vast majority of people are peacefully protesting. What's also clear is that a small minority of individuals are not. While I understand the passions and the anger that arise over the death of Michael Brown, giving into that anger by looting or carrying guns and even attacking the police only serves to raise tensions and stir chaos. It undermines rather than advancing justice.
Okay, 1-800-STEP-1-2, the phone number. 29 minutes after the hour, it's the Stephanie Miller Show. Fires over in Gaza?
Yeah, Israel started firing
Something has gone awry with the world when you can't tell if you're looking at Missouri, Gaza, or where's the dam in Iraq?
Mosul.
Oh, Mosul. Right, Mosul. Okay. 34 minutes after the hour, 1-800. Did I mention Ebola's back? Okay.
Oh, yeah, there are a bunch of patients running around Liberia.
Oh, right, because they don't believe in science over there. So they think it's a hoax, Ebola?
Yeah.
I don't know if there's like a version of a Liberian Fox News, but there's people letting the Ebola patients run free because they don't believe in the whole...
Yeah. Guerrilla soldiers came in and stole the bed sheets that Ebola patients were living in.
Well, if you think you get good deals on President's Day, huh? Ebola sheets half off. That'll learn. You can get those cheap.
That'll really learn you to wash your sheets before you put them on your bed after you buy them.
I sometimes skip that step. With wine glasses or other things. I know I'm supposed to wash them, but that slows you down by a good 2 to 3 seconds. Okay. I know it shocked you over the commercial break that I did say I'm not a scientist. I know that I apologize for misleading you.
Right.
But I was saying, even in this Missouri case, it was interesting. The family of Michael Brown had said they were concerned that the autopsy would be biased, and I was like, I didn't even know that an autopsy could be biased. I'm like, isn't it science? Like, this many bullets went in here, and you were saying it's like statistics. Anyone can twist.
You can massage anything. You can, emphasize one part of it and really de-emphasize another part of it in order to fit your narrative.
Yeah, and after what happened, you can understand their suspicion. They're like, this is, because it's the same agency that we feel executed our son in broad daylight, and, may have an interest in.
I guess Attorney General Eric Holder is going to be calling for a third autopsy. This poor kid.
Right. Yeah. The president, I mentioned before the break, announced that Eric Holder will be going to Ferguson, Missouri tomorrow. He also said when he talked about the militarizing the police, he said there's a big difference between our military and our local law enforcement, and we don't want those lines blurred. That would be contrary to our traditions. He also expressed skepticism about sending in the National Guard. He said, I'll be watching over the next several days to assess whether, in fact, it's helping rather than hindering progress in Ferguson. The president yesterday.
Let me call once again for us to seek some understanding rather than simply holler at each other. Let's seek to heal rather than to wound each other.
George in Miami. Hey, George, welcome. Hey, George.
Hey, Stephanie.
Hi, go ahead.
You know what? We need new media. Al Gore should have never sold that TV station.
I am with you on that.
They didn't pay him.
They didn't pay him. He's suing.
Yes, he's suing Al Jazeera. Are we going to get a little of that bank since we were the #1 show on Current? Are we going to? Oh, I'm sorry.
I looked at CNN this morning, and guess who they have on? Mark O'Mara. All the people that get from the bottom of the gutter, Mark O'Mara.
Yeah, that won't inflame things further. Yeah, George Zimmerman's lawyer, Chompy McChumperson. Yeah, all right. Yeah, he's bitier than that other. What's his name? Dave Bratt that just beat Eric Cantor. They're both very bitey.
Bitey.
They are a couple of pairs of comedy teeth inside a human head. Okay. All right. All right. The president one more time yesterday.
Although these are issues of local jurisdiction. The DOJ works for me, and then when they're conducting an investigation, I've got to make sure that I don't look like I'm putting my thumb on the scales one way or the other.
Let's go to Doug in Indiana. You're on the Stephanie Miller Show. Hey, Doug.
Hi, how are you?
Good, go ahead.
I'm disappointed in what I'm hearing. I just flipped over your station this morning.
So you stumbled across it?
I'm sorry?
I said you just stumbled across my show.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
This morning. I knew you were there. But did you say that our son got killed in broad daylight or murdered in broad daylight?
I said the parents feel that their son was executed in broad daylight.
And I think there are way too many people that believe that.
How do you know? I mean, they're entitled to believe what they want to believe. It's their son that was killed.
Right, I understand. And so that's there's a family there that.
What do you mean? There's way too many people that believe that?
Well, just to hear all the protesters that are saying, he was just killed for doing nothing and all of this, and I don't buy that.
What don't you buy about it?
That I don't know, so I don't have an opinion.
Well, we have an unarmed teenager who is dead.
Right.
Okay. So, don't you think a few people might be a little bit upset about that?
Well, what do you think about Dave Gaynor?
About who?
Dallas, Texas. Where do you stand with that?
I don't know anything about that.
Or Mike Gaynor, maybe he was killed this week, shot by a policeman. He was unarmed.
Okay. That sucks as well.
Okay. All right. It's one of our favorite party. It's a whataboutist. What about this other time, this other thing happened to this guy, and you don't say anything about that thing, that time that happened? Okay. We are focused on...
I hate people.
Okay. John in Seattle, you're on this... wait, oops, hang on. I did that wrong, like I often do. Hang on, here we go. John in Seattle. Hey, John, welcome.
Hey, Steph. My opinion is that Captain Ron Johnson, is clearly not in control. When you look at it, the day he was supposed to take over, the police chief releases the video that basically re-inflames everything.
Right. Well, that's not his fault.
Right.
true, that's not, but the first thing that he should have done...
I think he actually did a great job in speaking, to the people, and when they were walking amongst people, trying to have conversations with them and answer questions. I think you're right, there's way too much being released all over the place, like being leaked out, and that is absolutely inflaming the situation.
Absolutely. I just believe that the police chief and the local Ferguson Police Department are nothing more than agent provocateurs. It's almost as though they want the writing. It's almost as
Wait, who? Who was the first one?
The police chief.
The police chief and who else?
Most of and I would have to say most of the Ferguson Police Department.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Captain Ron Johnson isn't part of the Ferguson Police Department. This
is true, but what I'm saying is that if the governor puts him in control of providing safety for the entire city, he could have very easily, this is just my opinion, I think he could have just as easily removed the police chief from command and said, look, you guys report to me now. At least that's how it's done in the military. If one person can't get the job done, another person is put in command. That person then takes. Well,
this is part of the problem, and it's part of the problem with the kind of weapons they're using. Is the police are not the military, as the president said. And the other thing, someone made that point yesterday. In a lot of cases, they're not trained entirely properly for using this kind of equipment. As Chris said, this is not Fallujah.
Right.
And I mean, it reminds me a little. I mean, again, it's hard to say like who exactly is doing what that should have done. It's almost like, President Obama trying to take over the mess in Iraq and then going, oh, now look what you did.
Right.
I mean, obviously when Ron Johnson took over, there's already chaos. And so I don't know. I mean, that's the problem is now what? I mean, it's just like you kept thinking it was getting better and now it's worse again.
It's worse than it was before.
Dr. Bodden yesterday with this first autopsy.
All of these gunshot wounds were survivable, except for the one in the top of the head that went through the brain.
Okay. Loretta in Texas, you're on the Stephanie Miller Show. Hey, Loretta.
Hey, Steph. I love your show.
Thank you.
But I have a question. I want to know why, if tear gas is banned by the Geneva Convention and we can't use it anywhere else in the world, why can our government use tear gas against our own people?
Loretta, I think the president addressed, look, there are people on both sides doing some stuff that is wrong, but I agree with you to the extent that when you see little kids and there's kids in strollers, I mean, I get that they have to find some non-lethal means to try to control what's happening, but yeah, I had the same feeling when you tune in, and as I was saying, literally can't tell the difference between that and a war zone around the world. You're going, look, and I'm not an expert in this. Like, they say, oh, well, rubber bullets are but they're not harmless.
No, they're not.
I mean,
they have been known to kill.
Yeah.
Before.
Jason in D.C., you're on the Stephanie Miller Show. Hi, Jason.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi, good. Go ahead.
The president had come on yesterday and said, look, this is a really important matter, that every person has to have faith in those that are governing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Congress and put out a special bill. I'm going to authorize it so that every law enforcement person in this country has like a GoPro type of camera that they're going to wear. And the federal government's going to pay for it so we never get caught in this stuff again.
Oh, and the Republicans will be so helpful in terms of anything that would help the president or help law enforcement.
I think something that everybody would be behind.
Yeah.
I mean, no one would be.
Well, I said that yesterday. I really think that, this ought to open a discussion about, and Chris, as you said, I think lapel cameras really, because as you were saying, even in the cop car, it can't necessarily capture anything.
There's a huge cost involved with that, and a lot of police departments don't have the funding for it.
You know what? This is why the Fed would be happy to do that in this case.
Yeah,
It totally prevents incidences like this from happening.
Yeah.
What really stands out to me, though, is
Obama, by the way,
in charge.
Jason, I was going to say, we'll Google this, but I think I saw that yesterday somewhere where they has been enacted. I forget exactly what city, but the lapel cameras, and the statistics are startling, the amount of, because again, it's a way to sort of protect everybody. It's just to get the real story. It's not to police the police. It's to go, okay, because obviously there's times when the criminals are lying as well, right?
But think a lot about this really hard. You're putting Eric Holder in charge of this. Now remember, Obama's in charge, Holder's in charge. Do you know that there are 96,000 automatic weapons now in the hands of the police? They're MRAPs. So, I remember the president coming out and going, weapons of war have no place in America streets today. So he wants to take it away from the individual, but he's got no problem shoveling the stuff into the hands of a local law.
Yeah, but that's not, Jason, that didn't start with him. It started with Bush after 9/11. Right. They started giving this kind of stuff to...
Stephanie, because he could stop it.
Okay,
yes,
well, he obviously he's already brought that up, and
5 years.
Well, actually, Congress needs to. Jason, Congress needs to stop it. He can't put a stop to it directly.
All right. He said to you. All right.
Well then. Okay.
All right. 46 minutes after the hour. Right back on the Stephanie Miller Show.
Call the political.
The Stephanie Miller Show. 51 minutes after the hour. That's the kind of news outfit we are.
What?
Before the break, I'll say, we'll Google that about where they've had lapel cameras for police forces, and its statistics have been great.
Mm-hmm.
And then what did I do?
You forgot about it.
Well, I shoved breakfast sausage in my face.
And forgot to Google.
Yeah, exactly, but you did.
Rialto, California.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
that's what I meant, I meant I will shove sausage in my face and you will do some work.
Usually it's the other way around.
Anyway, the statistics are startling about the number of, charges of police abuse and all that. It's just, I think it's something at this point, unfortunately, that makes sense.
Yeah.
1-800-STEP-1-2, the phone number, toll free from anywhere. Dr. Bodden yesterday, the first autopsy on Michael Brown.
There weren't signs of a struggle. In talking about a struggle, one of the things that the attorneys have also asked for is the medical examination of the officer.
Yeah. Why don't we know a damn thing about the officer? Whether he had signs of a struggle or anything. He skipped town.
And I think preliminarily they said there were no gunpowder residue, so it would not back up the story that that this was at close range. Although they still had to examine the clothes. So as you were saying, I suppose like autopsies, you can also draw competing conclusions Anyway, Dr. Bodden.
There's no gunshot residues on the skin surface.
Right, because obviously the cop story is that he, I guess, rushed him and went for his gun or whatever. But anyway.
And according to the cop's friend who called into the Dana Loesch show yesterday.
Right. Okay. Did you see we had a caller that just stumbled upon our show?
Yeah. Any Yahoo can call in.
Right. It was concerned why we're not talking more about that other guy that the thing happened to the other week that we didn't. Okay. Hi, Walter in Illinois. You're on the Stephanie Miller Show. Hi, Walter.
Hi, Steph. I'd like you to know I insist my wife go gay for you.
Oh, awesome.
I'm concerned. I think that what we need to do is go down there right now. We need to hand out American flags to everybody. I think we need to do the same thing at immigration rallies and actually show that we as a United Front are American, not just right-wing toting lunatics and stuff like that. But all of us that are fighting right now for these rights and these purposes, that we are united as Americans and that we actually should shield ourselves and clothe ourselves in that symbol. So that's pretty much my point. That's all I got.
Well, good luck with that. I will.
I don't know that that's going to fix everything.
That you go get some little flags and head on in there.
See if it works. Couldn't help. Couldn't hurt, I suppose.
Okay. All right. We don't mean to ridicule your decision. There's no bad ideas here at the Stephanie Miller Show.
It's a grand idea. I just don't know if it'll work.
Douglas in Missouri, you're on the Stephanie Miller Show. Hello, Doug.
Hi, Stephanie. I just stumbled across your show.
Yes.
2 years ago. And have been listening to you guys, and I sure do miss Jim.
So you continued to stumble after you initially stumbled on it?
Stumbling back. Yes, ma'am.
All right, good.
I'm filling in a little history of the way that it's been done around here. Bob McCullough was the prosecuting attorney, and this was like about 10 years ago. And I'd like somebody out there to dig it up. I've been looking around. I haven't found it. Probably in Archives of the Post-Dispatch. But there were two black gentlemen that were up at the Jack in the Box, up just off of 70. And the police were after the driver. He had a warrant out for drug possession or something like that. I don't remember. And they shot both of them. Now, the whole time this had happened, Bob McCullough had tapes. He had tapes from Jack in the Box security camera. I believe that these two officers walked and that the tape was held onto for, it seemed like it was a significant amount of time. But when it was finally released, it showed that the car had not backed up at all. And I believe that the gear shift lever was in park as well. And that's why I think they're worried about, the prosecuting attorney, because it's pretty prevalent around here. There was a woman downtown who was shot while she was holding her cell phone because they thought it was a gun.
I mean, right. Yeah. I hear you. There's, that's the thing is, Kathleen Madigan is from Missouri, and she was in here, obviously, last week talking about this, that there has been there's been obviously a history of this kind of racial tension. There's another story I'll get to after the break, that this is not new, this kind of racial tension and stuff. And as we were, she said, and that was the first place I heard it, was on our show, is that the population is nearly 70% black, and almost the entire police force, city council, all that is white, which,
It's an old boys club.
Yeah. In other crime stack news, Governor Rick Perry.
Yeah.
There will be a mugshot. He will not be. I wonder if he's going to go with glasses, without glasses. Better or worse now? Better or worse? Smarter or dumber? Smarter or dumber? Damn, no frog march.
Nope.
That's too bad. So he will be, we will have a mug shot. All right. Robert in Nevada, you're on the Stephanie Miller Show. Hello, Robert.
Hi, Steph.
Hi.
The show. Hey, I just would like to raise a view maybe, or maybe change the focus on some underlying things, such as the corporate interest in public unrest. How much money is made in people getting thrown in prison, all the profits that are made off our tax money, off individuals being instigated to, being thrown into the system.
Well, that depends on if Missouri has private prisons or not. I'm not exactly sure that they do.
Yeah, well, and it's like Jim always says about Michael Chertoff. Oh, there's been an incident. Well, I happen to have machines that use at airports that I could make a lot of money on. I'm just saying he's not here for a conspiracy theory, but you never know. Someone might be pushing the police to, you know what you need? Lapel cameras. I have a company that makes police lapel cameras. Why?
What do you think of that?
What do you think of that? This is unfortunate, this disturbance in Missouri, but look what I have. I'm not saying. I just, we have to have a little conspiracy sausages.
Or maybe that tear gas company in Pennsylvania.
Hey, looks like you need some tear gas now. Hello, I own a rubber bullet company. I am filthy rich now. All right, 58 minutes after the hour. Charlie Pierce, Bob Seska, much more as we continue on the Stephanie Miller Show. Stephanie Miller Show. Welcome to it. 6 minutes after the hour. 1-800-STEPH-12, the phone number, toll free from anywhere. Charlie Pierce, Esquire.com, coming up at the bottom of the hour. And what did I say to you during commercial break? I was like, I don't know how he'd do it. Charlie Pierce writes a lot of words, and they're all good.
Yeah, if you've never been to his blog, you really should.
I seriously was thinking that this morning, like, how does he do it? How does he write this much stuff all the time that's so good?
And it's so, dense and, densely populated with info and points. Yes, but if you've never been to his...
a Johnny Kiss-Ass, but I really mean it with him.
If you've never been to his blog, go to his blog. We have a link to it up at StephanieMiller.com and at our Facebook page.
Yes. All right. Oh, a love letter, briefly. Speaking of love, Julie alerts me to, a young woman under my influence. It's one of my Twitter people.
Okay.
What do you call those?
Twerps.
Oh, she goes by Milady DeBenet. Dear Ms. Miller, this is one of your young female followers, the Stephanie Miller Tweeple, just like you, has usurped a royal title of Milady. She tweets, the Republican Party, our bridge to the 11th century. It's funny. See what you're doing to the young women of America. Next thing you know, she'll get her hair ironed, don a ghastly biking shirt, kiss a girl, and like it. P.S. The review and retweet like crazy social media strategy you've been talking about is like a mom putting her kids' crayon work up on the refrigerator.
Yeah.
It's true. I blew my Twitter a lot early, and now I just retweet and favorite. And I go, look at you, how smart you are. That's going on the refrigerator, too.
We have a lot of things on the refrigerator.
That's what we do.
The refrigerator might need to be cleaned.
They like it. They like it when Mama's watching. Mama's like, good, yay, that's good. It's my new version of getting other people to paint the fence while I do virtually nothing. Okay, back to the, by the way, you know how we just got through the one, but it's not over, the ceasefire is over in Gaza? Oy. But anyway, as you know, I am a Hamas terrorist sympathizer and also a Zionist puppet whose paycheck is signed by a Jew.
Yes.
Although the paycheck is intermittent. But anyway, Which is why I'm intermittently a Zionist puppet. Apparently.
Depending on whether you got a paycheck that week or not.
That's not important now. Here's what's important, Chris.
What's important?
Have you, like me, gotten propaganda from both sides of every issue, whether it's...
Yes.
I can't remember where I was going with this. Oh, I am both a cop lover.
Right.
Literally.
Well, we know that.
But that's way in the past.
I don't know. You're at a cop party the other night.
And a race trader, and I can't remember what else. But, this is the thing. I don't reflexively think the police are always wrong, but clearly I think there is a lot wrong that's going on.
And it's also not right to break into places and steal things.
Really?
During a protest.
Don't go out on the ledge there. Don't take too brave a stance. How about this?
I'll just be over here.
All right, Captain Obvious. How about this one? This is a police version of WTF in Florida. Tampa, Florida police dump quadriplegic from wheelchair. Brian Sterner broke his neck years ago and is a quadriplegic. Sterner, who can drive, was arrested on a traffic violation when he was booked into the Hillsborough County Jail. A sheriff's deputy looked at him, did not believe he was quadriplegic, so she walked behind him, grabbed the handles on the back of his hospital-grade wheelchair, and dumped him onto the ground. He says he tried to roll as he was going down, but hit so hard he thought he had broken 2 ribs. Then while he was on the floor, deputies frisked him and carelessly tried to get him back into the chair. So that would be another example of bad policing. Good cop, bad cop. Sure. We have a lot of...
Yeah.
A lot of those stories. Think Progress did a roundup, though, of a lot of the, what the president's been talking about, and the rest of us are militarization of the police force, which... But Think Progress did a roundup, most outrageous police tactics in Ferguson. And again, as you said, Chris, what was it again? It is not right to go into places and take things that are not yours.
During a protest.
Okay. That is also correct.
Thank you.
Nicely done, sir.
Whatever.
Anyway, rampant deployment of rubber bullets, tear gas, and smoke bombs, including on private homes. I mean, this is the problem when situations escalate. To look at images of Ferguson Wednesday, Think Progress writes, is to look at a fogged-over landscape reminiscent of a war zone. Tear gas is so ubiquitous that reporters said they could not go from the police station on the one side of town to their cars on the other because of tear gas en route. Officers reportedly marched down streets ordering protesters to leave as they fired tear gas. As they did this, they fired tear gas into the backyards and homes of individuals who stood on their own property with their hands up. Officers continued to deploy tear gas late Wednesday night, even as crowds ran away, and exhibited no visible aggression, hitting vehicles as the people inside tried to escape. Among the tactics officers repeatedly used were rubber bullets and a high-pitched siren to drive away protesters, pointing rifles directly at crowds from on high. I've talked about this. What is that about?
Right.
Town protests erupted over one police officer's deadly use of a gun, but that hasn't stopped police dressed in riot gear riding around town in tanks from pointing their guns, automatic rifles, shotguns, and pistols directly at crowds of protesters dressed in military garb. Forceful suppression of the media. We've talked about this. Attempts to quiet the media hit their peak Monday night when officers arrested 2 reporters. We talked about that. One of them, I think from HuffPost, said the officer rammed his head against a glass door and then sarcastically apologized. So, you're right. People on both sides are exacerbating this. Many have reported that police reportedly told them to turn off their cameras or block reporters from taking their camera positions. Again, the president spoke out about this. Reporters from Al Jazeera said that they described as highly visible. They were attempting to record a segment when a gas canister was thrown directly at them, prompting them to flee. Arrests and escalation of force, including the 2 reporters. At least 10 people were arrested. This is as of yesterday. I know there's more now. One of them said inside the jail is nothing but peacekeepers. They rounded up the wrong people, reverends, young people organizing the peace effort. So, and Captain Ron Johnson, who they brought in from the Missouri State Highway Patrol, said this yesterday.
Police were shot at. Makeshift barricades were set up to block police. Bottles and rockets were thrown at police. Based on these conditions, I had no alternative but to elevate the level of our response.
Cindy in Wisconsin. Hi, Cindy. Welcome.
Good morning. Hey, I've been watching this also, and my biggest question is how come they're protesting at night? Why are they hiding in the cloak of night? And all these shootings and everything are happening at night. You know,
there are also protests in the day. But
that's fine. I protested up in Madison, in Wisconsin. You know, it was all during the day. It was all peaceful and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But why are they protesting at night? It seems like they want to escalate it when they're protesting at night. You know,
look, passions have gotten inflamed, I think, on both sides, and this is what happens when it escalates. You know, I guess people don't, what do you call it? Dusk doesn't exactly end people's emotions if they're on. That's the problem. Is how do you de-escalate now when it's. All right. Let's see here. But Paul in Virginia, you're on the Stephanie Miller Show. Hey, Paul.
Hi. Good morning, Steph. How are you today?
Good. Go ahead.
Thank you, and happy birthday to me.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you.
There were just two things I wanted to talk about. First of all, I remember in this state, I know that we can only use force against somebody in proportion to where the threat is. So that is to say, you can't use the gun against somebody who's throwing rocks at you. But here, that's just one point. And secondly, I remember when Martin Luther King was assassinated, and downtown Newport News was basically inflamed.
Mm-hmm.
The police did not go around with M16 rifles. They had guns. They were monsters.
Yeah, I mean, Charlie Pierce writes a great piece, by the way. Well, sorry, honey, we're coming up to a break here, but he writes a great piece about that. I mean, we have been through worse racial strife in this country, and it's. I mean, when you think about that, I mean, I was not. I don't. Obviously, I don't remember that, but think. Okay, I'm 147. I don't remember the exact aftermath. All right. In other war zone news, the president talking about the role U.S. airstrikes played in. So they got the dam back from ISIS.
And that could have been catastrophic had these terrorists blown up the dam and completely flooded Mosul.
Yes. Did Republicans, by the way, say thank you, Mr. President? Thank you, American servicemen?
Oh, hell to the no.
Servicemen and women, thank you for. Okay.
The Mosul dam fell under terrorist control earlier this month and is directly tied to our objective of protecting Americans in Iraq. If that dam was breached, it could have proven catastrophic.
Nobody's on vacation too much, he's playing golf. Okay, the president again.
This operation demonstrates that Iraqi and Kurdish forces are capable of working together and taking the fight to ISIL. If they continue to do so, they will have the strong support of the United States of America.
Okay.
You're in a mood.
I'm in a mood today. I'm just filling in the commentary you'll hear from other right-wing outlets. Okay. 17 minutes after the hour. Charlie Pierce coming up. We roll along more in the latest from Ferguson. Trayvon Martin's mom has written to the Brown family. We'll talk about all that as we continue on the Stephanie Miller Show.
Fine.
It is the Stephanie Miller Show. Welcome to it. Charlie Pierce coming up at the bottom of the hour. 1-800-STEP-12, the phone number, toll free from anywhere. The mother of the late Trayvon Martin wrote a letter to the family of the late Michael Brown. She wrote, I wish I had a word of automatic comfort, but I don't. I wish I could say that it will be all right on a certain or specific day, but I can't. I wish that all the pain that I've endured could possibly ease some of yours, but it won't. I was saying that some of this, unfortunately sounds similar, like the leak that, he had marijuana in his system and things that are not relevant to, why this kid was gunned down. So anyway, by the way, I mentioned this earlier, but the store owners speak out about the surveillance video that allegedly showed Michael Brown robbing a Ferguson Market. Again, if he did, we don't have the death penalty for that.
Right.
The owner of the store dispute the claim that they or an employee called 911 saying a customer inside the store made the call. They also said the St. Louis County issues the warrants for the hard drive of the surveillance video on Friday. So, again, I think releasing that inflamed the situation. It's just, I feel like, now we're at a point where both sides are trying to make their case in the media in an already really volatile situation. Yeah. Let's see. Rick in St. Louis, you're on the Stephanie Miller Show. Hi, Rick. Welcome. Hey, Rick. Hi, Rick. Okay.
Aww.
Goodbye, Rick. Mike in Phoenix. Hi, Mike.
Morning.
Good morning. Go ahead.
militarization of the police. Remember 15 years ago when those two guys broke out the assault rifles in L.A. and they were all heavily, body armored and they were out, they outgunned the cops.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was like the start of this, and then, everybody's armed. The population is armed to the teeth as well. To me, it's only a matter of game theory, So
Yeah, I suppose. This is why, as many people said, including a lot of generals during the last, who can remember which mass shooting incident, that military weapons don't belong in civilian hands, period. So you're right. Now we're escalating, America into a war zone, right?
I was at the grocery store the other day, and this guy's walking around with his family, he's armed with a pistol.
Yeah.
At the grocery store. The laundromat, the guy that does the folding and all that, changes out your quarters, he's got a pistol. It's just, people don't want to get in a gunfight, Yeah. It takes a lot more moxie to work things out, and talk it out instead of...
Well, and I understand these businesses. If I walked into a Starbucks or a Chipotle and there's somebody with a gun, I'd walk the hell out.
Yeah. I'd go somewhere else where I didn't feel intimidated.
I was going to mention, the Phoenix PD here, they just blew away a mentally ill gal at her doorstep, and they were making a mental call on the woman. From the family requested the police to go over there, and granted, she had a hammer in her hand, but they could have stunned her.
Yeah. There was a mentally disabled guy was just shot by the police here.
Yeah, and there were protests yesterday, but. Yeah, not like Ferguson.
This story, as we were mentioning, Kathleen Madigan, who's from Missouri, was talking about. There's a history of this.
She's from Ferguson. She went to Ferguson Florissant High School.
Yeah. But this story, has been all over the internet, and it is not to imply the cops are always corrupt or always wrong, but this one's been all over the day. The day Ferguson cops were caught in a bloody lie. The officers got the wrong man, but charged him anyway with getting blood on their uniforms. How the Ferguson PD ran the town where Michael Brown was gunned down. This one is, they once charged a man with disruption of property for bleeding on their uniforms while four of them allegedly beat him. Henry Davis was his name. He was taken in the pre-dawn hours. He had been arrested for an outstanding warrant that proved to actually be for another man of the same surname but a different middle name and social security number. He ended up in Ferguson only because he missed the exit for St. Charles and pulled off the highway because the rain was so heavy he couldn't see to drive. Anyway, it's just this, one of these typical nightmare stories. They put him in a cell, started hitting him. They said it was too much blood. I had to go to the hospital. He was driven back to the jail where he was held for several days before he posted a $1,500 bond on 4 counts of property damage. The police officer had signed complaints swearing on pain of perjury that Davis bled on his uniform and those fellow officers. Indisputable evidence of what transpired in the cell might have been provided by a surveillance camera, but it turned out the VHS video had been recorded at 32 times the normal speed. You couldn't see anything. It was a blur. The blur proved to be from 12 hours after the incident. Anyway, the cops had saved the wrong footage after the attorney asked them to preserve it.
They taped over it with Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Great, thanks.
Exactly. Who hasn't that happened to?
I know.
When he sought this is another thing that's interesting. When he sought the use of force history of the officers involved, he learned that before a new chief took over in 2010, the department has a surprising protocol for non-fatal use of force reports. The officer himself could complete it and give it to the supervisor for his approval. No copy was made for the officer's personnel file. So it's stuff like this that causes mistrust already with the police, that you're not going to get, a fair shake. Let's go to Ron in Chicago. You're on the Stephanie Miller Show. Hi, Ron.
How you doing, Stephanie?
Good. Go ahead.
I wanted to talk about two things. I'm a soldier in the Army National Guard, so just wanted to make that point. But I did want to talk about the Ferguson riot. One thing that I'm not seeing with probably with both sides is the triggers to riots, because no riot ever happens with one incident. Mm-hmm. It's always a building of frustration, and that one incident usually peaks the trigger, and then all the frustrations of the past come.
Right. Well, look I was just thinking as you were talking about the Rodney King riots out here, and in that case, it wasn't that something wasn't taped; it's that it was taped.
And it was also years and years and years of frustration that was built up.
Yeah. Right. With the L.A. riots, and I speak about this because I have in the Guard, I have a lot of friends who are police officers, and I'll mention that, hey, in the L.A. riots, there was a Korean lady who blew an 11-year-old's head off prior to the L.A. riot. And that was a building of anger. So when the police officers in the Rodney King verdict were acquitted, that piqued all the frustration, all the anger, all the African Americans that were pulled over and, treated badly. All of that came to a head in the LA riots. I see the same thing with the Ferguson riots, and no one is asking, what kind of connection did the police agency have with that community? One of the things I'm glad that Eric Holder is going to that area. I hope he investigates all the past history of what's going on, because he's probably going to see a lot of, disconnection, a lot of past anger, things that built up to this riot.
Yeah, no, I mean, when, Kathleen Madigan sat down, she said, I'm not surprised this is happening, having come from there. She said this has been simmering a long time. 29 minutes after the hour. Charlie Pierce, Esquire.com, next on the Stephanie Miller Show.
The greatest source of energy known to womankind!
Oh, no. A basset hound discovers a piano.
And goes to town on it.
Oh, no. Look out for your ears. Okay. We need something to distract us from all the horrors of the world.
Yeah.
I know. You know who will help? There's only one man now that understands, and that's the author of Idiot America.
Pierce.
Charlie Pierce, political columnist for Esquire.com.
Why is everybody always laughing with me?
Hi. Oh, my goodness. Good morning, Charlie Pierce.
Let's all be funny. You first.
I don't know if you heard us, the giant suck-up we did to you at the top of the hour, but it is true.
Actually, because there is no Stephanie Miller outlet in the liberal city of Boston, Massachusetts, in the People's Republic of Massachusetts.
For God's sakes, man, you have a smartphone. Just do it. I
have a smartphone that, alas, has a dumb owner.
Get the TuneIn Radio app, search for Progressive Voices channel on there. Boom, you got it.
Thank you. All right.
Oh, that's great. That way I get to listen to all the nice liberal knitting ladies that come on between commercial breaks and talk about.
All right, Charlie Pierce, listen to me very carefully now. No, I did, but I said I was just thinking this morning, how do Charlie Pierce do it? How do he write so many words and they're all so good all the time? That's what I said. It was a version of that.
It really is remarkable that you put out that much good stuff throughout the day.
Well, it helps if you're just a career blatherskite as I am. But, I took last week off because it's August. What could possibly happen?
Yeah. Right.
Besides the entire world, falling down, shooting each other, getting sick.
Yeah. I mean, it is, but, your take on...
I'll tell you, honest to God truth, everybody who's trying to do the right thing in Ferguson looks so tired right now.
I know.
That Captain Ron Johnson looks like he's, at the end of his rope. The president sounded awful yesterday.
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton's hiding under a rock.
Yeah. Well, you said even at a distance, however, it's plainly time for Chief Thomas Jackson to go to the dog track with his name pinned to his sweater. Yes, and you say if there's anything, there's something else he could have done to inflame this already volatile situation. I can't think what it is. And once again, Sean Hannity's there. He's a helper, as you know.
Yeah, I was reminded of nothing more than his meddling in the Schiavo case.
Terry Schiavo, yeah. And his Cliven Bundy, his best friend, his last best friend in that last news cycle. So you say there has been enough loose talk about how and why and who deserved what, and there have already been enough people riding their own personal hobby horses through the smoke-choked streets where Michael Brown, an American child, was shot and killed and left in the street like a dog. And I mentioned, I was quoting you earlier, but you said from a distance, this seems like the most inhumane part of a toweringly inhumane act. You shoot an unarmed child and you leave him there as a grim public spectacle. That's what I was saying. It's not just the substance that's happened here, Charlie. It's the optics of everything that's happened.
I mean, there's absolutely nothing. I mean, I do not see anything good coming out of this.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't see that. At this point, I don't see there being any way they get a criminal conviction against a police officer.
Yeah.
I mean, everything's too screwed up at this point. Then you're talking about a federal civil rights action, which will have to be brought by the president, and you know what will happen then.
Yeah. And people are normally so supportive of anything he wants to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. But
now, I mean, you're hearing quotes out of the White House saying that he won't say anything too direct about this event because it will exacerbate the tension. Well, it's going to exacerbate the tension no matter what he says.
Yeah, yeah. By the way, I don't know if you know this, Billie Holiday, my favorite. But in this case, you were saying, starting with that, you said, you can forgive any of the older folks, me, who see leaving the body on display and hear that Billie Holiday song about that, and we were saying Kathleen Madigan is from Ferguson. She was in here last week talking about how long these tensions have been going on.
I didn't know she was she grew up there?
Yeah.
Wow.
She went to Ferguson High.
Yeah, she went to Ferguson Florissant High. Yep.
But at any rate, interesting the way you put this in perspective, Charlie. You say we've come a long, long way. We elected a black man president of the United States, and to forget the political opposition has treated him like the unruly footman despite his best efforts to be a conciliator, living witness to a country absolved. But as you say, we sort of just keep going through these cycles, right?
Yeah, because because the people, who seek solace or some sort of justification in these cycles are losing their grip on power, are losing, quote unquote, their country.
Right.
And they're going to cling to it as hard as they can. And if they have to do it by, militarizing police forces and suppressing votes and doing everything that we thought we were beyond, then they'll do it.
Right. I mean, it is like the 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. It seems like you're right. We go, oh wow, we elected a black president, and then again, we have the shooting of Trayvon Martin, followed by the acquittal of George Zimmerman, followed by the strangulation of Eric Garner, and now the shooting of Michael Brown, and you think, what is it, backlash, or is it, as you say, sort of inevitable from, as you say, white people will be in the minority in this country?
I think we're in for a pretty rough ride over the next decade. I really do, because I don't think this. I think that maintaining the racial divide is really all the shrinking white majority has left, and I think we're in for a really, really bad time of it. I wish I didn't feel that way, but I do, and I wish to God that some Democrat would step up on this. I'm tired of Rand Paul being the guy making sense.
Yeah. No, it's true on this subject.
I don't think he has any intention of following through on any of that.
No, of course not.
4:58, 4:59, sooner or later.
5-minute rule.
Get to the 5-minute mark, and something will go off the rails. Right now, he's the only one talking.
Yeah. It's a bad news week when your feel-good story is about Ebola. Oh, boy. This is, we talked about this yesterday, Charlie. This is really... You say soon between 17 and 29 Ebola patients had run away or were physically removed by their families, and the looting began. They took off with items, goggles, masks, blood-stained mattresses, blood-stained sheets that were likely infected with Ebola. Following the patients' escape and Sunday's looting, officials and health workers fear even more will be infected as patients return to their families' homes and looters sleep on the fetid mattresses. And this is all, as you were saying, built on fear, and obviously some feel that Ebola is a hoax. And I think that the thing you said, that's the most, you said it's going to turn a medical catastrophe, into a Holocaust.
Yeah, I mean, these are folks who escaped into one of the worst slums in the world, and it's overcrowded, and, they'll never find all these people, I don't think, before they die.
So you said parallel epidemics, Ebola and poverty, are now feeding on each other.
Yeah, this to me, and of course, because we don't cover Africa in any real sense, we didn't know this was going on until far too late.
Right.
I mean, I don't think I don't think we're headed for the stand here or anything, but West Africa's got a major, major crisis on its hands right now.
Well, it wasn't.
I compared it to Fukushima.
Yeah.
Well, but I was just going.
It's a local crisis that has international implications.
Well, that's what I was just going to say, is that, here we go again, where nobody cares until it affects us, and you say it's time for the world outside Africa to step up. This is the same as Fukushima. Both are ongoing disasters beyond the ability of local government to control, but genuinely dangerous to the wider world. Things are coming apart in West Africa. Things are coming apart fast. You're right. I mean, that's until we go, it's going to reach us.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, look at the reaction to just...
one poor guy.
Yeah, one poor guy we let back in. And Donald Trump and the like go insane, right?
Right. I mean, we're not going to, we're not immune to this sort of thing. I mean, what is the reaction by the people in Liberia but the anti-vaccination crowd gone crazy?
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's the same principle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got a whole bunch of Jenny McCarthy's running around over there.
Oh, jeez.
What?
Liberian Jenny McCarthy's.
Yeah.
Okay. I I love your piece. The joke is that Rick Perry is not funny. There will be a mugshot, by the way, Charlie.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yes.
And you know who has chimed in on Rick Perry's side now?
Who?
Tom DeLay.
Oh, of course.
Because Tom DeLay has a mugshot rolling around.
A very smiley one.
Smiling mugshot.
Yeah, very smiley.
Maybe
I think Tom DeLay should have a career in telling celebrities how to do mugshots.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
then we wouldn't have any more Nick Nolte.
Yeah, I was going to say if Nick Nolte got him on the horn before that shot.
It looked like a headshot, not a mugshot.
I know.
I think he could become mugshot advisor.
You write, in a sane democracy, the idea of Rick Perry as president of the United States would be treated as the fringe enthusiasm of shoeless mouth breathers. In 2012, the man can barely get from a subject to verb without turning an ankle. Now, 4 years later, he puts on a pair of horn rims, and we're all supposed to buy him as legitimately the best person for the worst job in the world. But once again, this is a story, Charlie, about the mainstream media that, for whatever reason, he's going to ride this out, blah, blah, blah. This is nothing. As you say, he's going to beat both Chris Christie and Scott Walker to the tape and into what do you call it? Who will be indicted first, Derby, right?
Yeah, who would have guessed?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Who would have bet on that horse?
Yeah.
But you say it's interesting. You point out something more important, and that is that more people die in the workplace in Texas than anywhere.
That series I don't know if it's a series, but that multimedia production by the Dallas Morning News is both horrifying and incredibly good journalism.
Yeah.
I mean, the number of the percentage of workers who die in Texas is so far beyond the percentage of workers that die in those fields, mostly construction, anywhere else, that it should make Rick Perry a national joke.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the economy he's running on.
Yeah.
This is the economy he's telling us he's going to bring to the United States of America.
Mm-hmm. Yes. That unavoidable deaths on the job are the price we pay for the freedom enjoyed by our job creators to risk all our lives. Yeah, you wrote a lot about this fertilizer plant blowing up and taking a whole town with it, and it's like, oh well, price of freedom.
Yeah, that's right. Because you don't want burdensome regulations like making sure fertilizer plants don't blow up.
Yeah, yeah. Well, interesting, Charlie. We had Eric Bollard on Monday, and I saw a piece on HuffPost yesterday, why Rick Perry will be convicted. There are a few people going against the obviously what the Beltway has decided already.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, this is a very odd law. It's particularly an odd law for a state like Texas to have, but it is the law. I mean, you can't misuse your office in this way. If he really did offer this woman a job to get out of the way, then he's in real trouble.
Yeah.
Because people will recognize that as a misuse of office.
Right.
I mean, if he's going to say, he's standing on the principle and defending the powers of the governor against, partisan attacks, well, then he might get away with that. But if he offered that woman another job to get her out of the job she's in now, so he could appoint a crony, people will understand that as an abuse of power.
Yep.
I don't know if they'll understand the other stuff.
Is he going sans glasses or
Well, I don't think they let you wear glasses in your mugshot, do they?
Oh, don't they? Perhaps they don't.
I have never been mugshot, so I don't know.
Stephanie has.
He's going to look dumb again.
Stephanie's been mugshotted?
Yes, I have. It's a long story. Look, we're out of time.
Did they raid the pole dancing place once?
Was it for
the raid at the Itchy Kitty?
Was it for drinking?
Minor in possession of alcohol.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they took you in and gave you a mugshot?
Yes.
And so somewhere in downtown
and they're after the Goldwater campaign cratered.
Somewhere in a police station in downtown L.A., there is a mugshot of Stephanie Miller.
No, my powerful daddy got that. It disappeared into a cornfield.
Chris, don't we want to put a human search engine together to find that sucker and put it
Trust
on?
me, people have tried.
We need to crowdsource this.
No.
Yes.
Did they fingerprint you and throw you in
in the hooskow.
Did they?
Mm-hmm.
How drunk were you?
I wasn't drunk at all. I bought a 6-pack of light beer for my roommate at USC.
Oh, God.
With a fake ID?
No.
Oh.
A guy next to me bought it for me.
Oh.
All right.
And so what, did they, throw you on the ground outside and cuff you and stuff?
Yes. I can never be governor of Texas. That's the important thing. And I hope you're happy. All right. I love you, Charlie Pierce. See you next week. See you next week. All right. Drag up that.
Well, talking about mugshots and all, like you've never had experience with them.
47 minutes after the hour. Right back on the Stephanie Miller Show. The Stephanie Miller Show. Welcome to it. 52 minutes after the hour. Bob Cesca of the Daily Banter coming up next hour. I choose to believe the happy clappy news.
Okay.
In this case, I recommend Huffington Post why Rick Perry will be convicted by James Moore.
Oh, dear. Okay.
He said, while poorly informed Democrats like Obama advisor David Axelrod call the indictment sketchy, Bob believes not. He said Perry's accused of using his veto authority to coerce a publicly elected official into leaving office. While the veto threat and later the actual exercise of the veto didn't work, he may have tried a bit of bribery, which Charlie Pierce and I were just talking about, which is why he is facing criminal charges, not because he exercised his constitutional veto authority. Anyway, he goes on to say the idea that he was concerned about the officials drunk driving is fatuous nonsense. 2 other Texas DAs were arrested for DUI during Perry's tenure in office, and he spoke not a discouraging word at all. He said it's probably only coincidental that both those individuals were Republicans and did not oversee an investigative unit responsible for keeping elected officials honest in the Capitol. So we shall see. Eric Bolling also said, I am in the minority that thinks this is serious.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Well, there wouldn't be a mugshot if it weren't serious, I think.
There you go. And we'll see. Glasses or not.
Charlie may have a point. I can't remember seeing a mugshot.
I think you're right. You can obscure your face, probably.
Right.
There you go. In order to look smarter so you can be president. Linwood in Virginia, you're on the... Hello, I got my great lens crafters. Linwood, you're on the Stephanie Miller Show. Hello.
Hey, good morning, Stephanie. It's been a
hi.
while since I listened to the show. Because you guys came off a lot of radio stations after Current went under to Al Jazeera.
Yeah.
But anywho, I've been hearing a lot of joking and laughing about this issue. It's funny if it weren't so sad. But I was telling
Which issue?
Your
Ferguson?
We have to laugh because we're going to cry all day. Which horrible issue are we talking about?
It's a crying shame, isn't it? I was listening to I told your call screener guy that, it's kind of funny how black teenage death makes good ratings. It's good business to kill young black men in America because you look at the media. You look at all the things that happen. You have the immigration, these mysterious, Latin American children coming off the border and the so-called outrage about that. We all know what's really going on with that. It's just fake outcries. But really, this is all a design plan. This is not just something that just happened.
You're saying the media's behind this?
I think it's a bigger entity behind it, because you think about it. Now, look at it now. Before y'all think I'm just some Alex Jones conspiracy theorist nut job, look at the trail of evidence. Look at the Ebola situation. Look at the Gaza situation. Look at these kids that just mysteriously just came over here, just showed up, just popped the world up, and no one knows. Wait a minute, where'd you come from? Nobody knows anything.
But we know where they came from. They were fleeing.
Government people. You got all these government people, eyes on the ball, supposedly, and they don't know what's going on. It's a bigger thing going on here. And people want to talk about race wars. Oh yeah, it's going to be a race war.
So you're saying the media started all of this in order to get money for ratings?
It's good business. It's good business, bro. Look at the rap sheet.
I really don't think Brian Williams. I really don't think Brian Williams of NBC News shot the kid. Sorry.
No. I'm not saying. I'm not gonna be that ridiculous.
He started Ebola. All right. He's a little exercised. Don't blame Elizabeth Vargas. She is in rehab. Everybody leave her alone.
Good for her.
She has nothing. Exactly. I could watch that Diane Sawyer tape all day. I'm just saying she has a glass of wine. Like those funny joke glasses of wine? It's that big on the set.
Kind of like yours.
Awesome. Right.
Like a big tumbler.
I do not think Diane Sawyer is behind any of the horrors in the news either. Okay. I'm not implying she drunkenly let people out of an Ebola clinic. John in Minneapolis, you're on the Stephanie Miller Show. Hello, John.
Hi. Yeah, I just wanted to say, about Ferguson, that there is a war, and the war is the rich and the powerful against the rest of us. And I think since 9/11, they've taken that opportunity to militarize the police. And so, if we don't like how unequal society has become, why, they're just going to jackboot our neck into the ground. I mean, I have some examples here. For one thing, here in St. Paul, during the Republican convention, they actually had paid provocateurs, somebody egging on some of the young people to do some violent acts, which really was the only thing that really happened was Molotov cocktails were thrown, and it was all because they were paid by the FBI ultimately after they investigated that. Amy Goodman was thrown down to the ground. Her producers.
Yeah, I remember that. We were there.
We were there. We interviewed her right after that.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
What is in a Molotov cocktail exactly? Is there rye?
Just gasoline.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Or kerosene, maybe.
Okay. 58 minutes after that. I've just never heard it so many times except for this latest.
And you're thirsty.
Right. Okay, 58 minutes after the hour. Right back. Bob Cesca and more on the Stephanie Miller Show. Welcome to it. Bob Cesca of the Daily Panther coming up at the bottom of the hour. Would you like to, which disturbing news story tomorrow would you like to start with?
I don't know. What's my choice?
Which hellscape? Well, you know what?
How about you choose for me?
Would you like to hear about the penis collector? Arrested for keeping
really.
Jars full of dead men's. All right.
Dead duck dong?
I thought I was weird.
Dead duck dong?
A Croatian man known as the penis collector.
Of course. What else would he be called?
Has been arrested for allegedly abusing his position as a hospital nurse.
Oh.
Let's see, everybody's got a hobby. He's like, he's not going to be using that anymore. I think I'll keep it. He used his position as a hospital. Did I mention he was a hospital nurse?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Right. To amass a large collection of human, taken from the bodies of, well, at least they were dead. This story could be more disturbing. He worked as a registered nurse at a city hospital. Was arrested last week on charges of disturbing the deceased. Well, hard to say if they were disturbed or not. I mean, technically. Well, in his apartment, police found a few glass jars full of what do you call it? Preserved in formaldehyde. Okay, this reminds me of a Louis C.K. routine. The bag of. Have you heard that routine?
No.
Okay, it's different. On behalf of all employees of the hospital, the spokesman said, I have to say we were very unpleasantly disappointed, I would imagine, very unpleasantly surprised by an event that threw a shadow over this hospital. Yes, in the shadow of a giant. Our apologies to the families of the deceased. According to the news source, the suspect is a family man with no previous criminal record.
Of course not.
Just in need of a hobby. And that's the least disturbing story in the news today.
What was the other choice that we had? You said, what did you want to hear first?
Maybe this one? Why are you such a shaky dog? Stop shaking! Okay. Oh, people, stop getting in other people's cars because you think they're an Uber. They are not an Uber.
Yes, apparently this has been happening.
It's disturbing on a different level. Just because Uber's motto is everyone's private driver doesn't mean every car is yours for the hailing. The popularity of apps like Uber, I have it on my smartphone.
You've used it?
Yes, in case of
drunkenness.
It has spawned some awkward curbside interactions. One man said, if I pull up at a food truck in Williamsburg, there will be 4 guys asking, can you take us to Long Island? The best line so far is, are you Uber? Well, can you be? Can we just go? Stop getting in random people's cars.
Oh, my God.
Somebody named Jamie tweeted, tonight marks the second time a random person has tried to get in my car because they thought I was an Uber driver. The second time. People, stop getting in random people's cars. It could end badly. Could end up in a jar of formaldehyde somewhere. Stop it.
And point of order, isn't Brooklyn officially a part of Long Island?
No.
It's on Long Island.
No, I don't believe so.
It is.
Someone from New York might want to call us.
It is on Long Island.
You're just kind of the person who would get in the wrong Uber because you don't know what the hell borough you're going to. All right.
Yes, it is a borough of New York City, but it's officially on Long Island.
Meanwhile, unrest continues in Ferguson, Missouri, not the least of which caused by, the GI cops.
Go! Go!
Alarm! Alert! GI Cop attacks!
Ready to occupy your strip mall. It's the GI Cop Battle Starbucks Fortress. GI Cop! Complete with hardened Dodge Chargers and missile-firing armored personnel carriers.
Time to break out the 20mm Vulcan cannon.
GI Cop! You put your men into position. But wait, there's a civilian carrying an iPhone and a blueberry scone. Ready, aim, fire!
GI Cop comes with his own tank to occupy the Family Dollar parking lot.
Now, time to occupy the sector between Best Buy and Bed Bath & Beyond. You spot trouble with someone holding something that looks like a gun. Is that person a patriot or a thug? You use your shoulder-mounted pigment scanner to determine whether to give him a ride home or use your taser.
My GI Cop has camouflage, so he can't be seen in Missouri.
Get the GI Cop Battle Starbucks Fortress today. GI Cop! Unnecessary heavy armament sold separately.
Thank you, Rocky Mountain Mike. Was that the kid from Drone City?
I think it was.
Gus in Grand Rapids.
Yes, and Richard Hensel.
And Richard Hensel as well.
Oh, but
yes.
Highly Scatological on Twitter wants to know if the Peanuts collectors store them in ball jars.
Ah, very nice. Thank you. Oh, I shake a waggy finger in your direction.
Yes.
All right. A love letter. All these stories of more stories of Robin Williams' kindness. Yeah. Did you see his video message to the sick mom? That's online today. David Letterman did a heartbreaking tribute to him. Robert writes, Steph and Chris and the rest of the crew, thank you for producing such respectful and honest radio for us regarding Robin Williams' death. I thought I blew chunks because I was just off my game and depressed. Thank you.
Believe me, you were very good.
Okay. I don't care about that. I was depressed.
You were appropriate. You set the appropriate tone for the days.
Thank you. There are so many people looking to kick the man around, call him a coward and worse, but I'm glad to have heard your program and the many people who worked with Robin and knew him to be a warm and caring person, sharing their knowledge of him with us. Yeah, Rick Overton, Kathleen Madigan were amazing. If you have the podcast, you got to listen to some of that. It's amazing. If ever there was a reason for liberal talk radio, you've given us proof by example that political talk need not consist of just trashing the political opposition. Chris, you especially deserve a gold star. Because you are, as I can hear in your voice, the voice of experience.
Computer says no.
And there's well, you're depressed because you've been working with me.
See, it's not situational. People like you want to point to something that causes it.
I trivialized your pain.
Thank you.
It's in the past, right? You're all happy clappy now.
Sure.
Okay. Anyway, there's a lot to be said for sharing what some might consider to be personal dirty laundry in public, because so many people are unaware that they are not alone in their unhappiness. You have to help let people know they often have someone close to them who would understand if they had the courage to speak publicly the way you have. Steph and crew, thanks for doing what live radio can do best, reaching out to people by sharing personal messages of hope and comfort for the afflicted. If there were awards for exemplary radio, are there such things? The Stephanie Miller Show earned one. Thank you. I live in Silicon Valley and have to listen to your program by streaming one of the real radio stations your program is on, in this case WCPT Chicago. Woot!
Yay!
Bob in Silicon. Thank you, Bob. By the by, I don't know if we mentioned this yesterday or not, but a lot of people talking about Rob Schneider, who was a friend of the comedian from SNL, who was a friend of Robin Williams, because everybody, there's sort of a different issue in this for everybody, and he's speaking out about Robin Williams and has a theory as to what could have caused his tragic death. He believes the Parkinson's drug could have played an effort in it, or a role in his friend's passing. He tweeted, now that we can talk about it, Robin Williams was on a drug treating the symptoms of Parkinson's. One of the side effects is suicide. He also added the evil pharmaceutical industry admits to over 100,000 people in the USA die from every year from prescription drugs. # Robin Williams. And look, people are all over the place on this stuff too. We talked about this, that I had a friend many years ago who committed suicide after going off Paxil. I have other friends that have claimed antidepressants have saved their life after postpartum or whatever. But I wonder if we'll know. I know they're doing toxicology, but I wonder if we'll know if that played a role. I know they say one of the first symptoms of Parkinson's is depression, and if he was already dealing with it, like Rick was talking about, from heart surgery. And he's dealt with it previously in the past, along with, struggles with addiction. The whole thing is just, whatever the cause is, it's very, very sad. But anyway, all right. But anyway, thank you for all your nice letters about that.
Oh.
Well, yes.
By the way,
yes.
Kathy says, yes, as usual, you are right. Brooklyn is on Long Island.
Oh, well, good for you.
Thank you.
Yet another gold star for you.
I'm right as usual.
What a day for you.
I know. I love being me.
Let's go to Andy in California. You're on the Stephanie Miller Show. Hi, Andy.
Good morning, Stephanie.
Hi.
And I got to tell you, I love the program.
Thank you.
I'm a big fan, but first-time caller. I think when you think about this situation where this violence hits these towns and somebody gets shot and killed, you have to think about all the war that's going on, all the weapons that have been shipped all over the world. I mean, the violence and the death follows those weapons no matter where they go.
Yeah.
And, they certainly come home to roost when you spread them all over the country. I mean, I don't really see this situation changing anytime soon. I mean, the whole situation of exporting violence all over the world, I think, has got to change before you really see a real change here. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, yeah, if you're talking about I think everybody's talking about the militarization of the police. That just seems to have exacerbated the situation here. Anyway, all right, let's go to Janet in Missouri, in fact. Hello, Janet. You're on the Stephanie Miller Show. Hey.
Hey, pretty woman. This is me calling to let you know the stats about the police departments that you mentioned earlier in the show.
Yes. Rialto, yeah.
Oh, you got those?
Yes.
Okay.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Go ahead with the stats.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted you to know that after they put cameras in use.
Lapel cameras for police, yeah.
The use of force by the police dropped 60%.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the complaints about the cops themselves dropped 88%.
Right. Well, that's what I was saying. It's to protect both sides, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I wanted to let you know also that my husband and I have been in lust with you for about 3 years now.
Oh, hello. Three-way. Okay. Everybody.
Well, then.
You're a lovely woman. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Instead of all sexy liberal shows, instead of cheese, we say three-way. That was my camera sound effect.
Oh, I see. Okay.
All right. Glad you enjoyed it.
I'll take the cheese.
Sue in Idaho. You're on the Stephanie Miller Show. Hi, Sue.
Hi.
Hi.
I just want to first say that I really love your program.
Thank you.
It's such a relief up here in North Idaho.
Yikes.
And I just want to say, that I think the whole police force is just being militarized to the point. There was a 35-year-old lady that was brought in by her husband to the hospital because she was having erratic behavior. He brought her there for some help. And within 3 to 5 minutes, they shot her to death, the cops.
Aye. And
it's just like, oh, my gosh, what is happening in this world anymore? I think the fellow before was saying, they militarize everybody to the point that they have to use them.
Well, and I'm sorry to say, I'm not sure I'm all that hopeful of us having a real conversation because when we, a bunch of 6-year-olds got shot in the face, we didn't do anything about it. But part of this is that we're so heavily armed. That now the police, we're creating war zones in this country, and I don't know if we're going to do something about it.
Either.
I would hope so, because the police would probably argue that ordinary civilians are armed to the teeth in a lot of places. And all right, welcome to Fallujah, everybody. 18 minutes after the hour, we roll along on the Stephanie Miller Show. I changed then. Because
I saw it.
It was more like I'm a little teapot.
Yeah, I chose to ignore it.
Okay. 1-800-STEPH-1 the phone number, toll free from anywhere. Bob Seska of the Daily Banter coming up at the bottom of the hour. Oh, I'm looking for Fun Stack because there's so much horrible news going on this morning. What's not funny about an adult man getting hopelessly stuck in a baby's high chair?
Okay, that's funny. I would enjoy seeing that.
Well, and you can.
Oh?
Earlier this week, a Manchester man named Darren got hopelessly stuck inside a wooden high chair at an unnamed restaurant. Once he realizes he's not getting out even without a fight, he engages in a series of futile efforts, flopping around, enlisting his buddies, and at one point even removing his pants in an effort to extricate himself. The video cuts off before we ever find out if he ever escaped the baby seat.
Aww.
Gawker saying maybe he's still in that restaurant somewhere, languishing on a steady diet of mashed peas and carrots, waiting for the Spoon airplane to land. What's funnier than that? I'll tell you what's funnier than that. A naked man sitting in a wicker chair. Remember that guy at the beach that sat in a chair in his stuff expanded and then he got caught in the lawn chair?
Yes.
And had to be extricated by the
firefighters. The jaws of life.
Right, because there was significant shrinkage and then they expanded.
He had just gotten out of the ocean,
right.
Sat down.
Yep.
Yeah, and they've expanded.
All right. Again, 911 calls, I'd give anything to hear. I'm sorry, you've got a what? Stuck on your what?
Okay. My dad was a fire chief growing up, and
and your mother's name is
Barbie, Barbara. Anyway, we had scanners, police scanners and fire scanners around our house. And one time, the scanner went off with a dispatcher saying that there was a baby stuck in a cake pan.
And it's fine. It's funny because the baby was probably fine, right?
I guess. I don't know. We didn't hear much about it after that, but we're like, how...
Maybe somebody misunderstood baby batter.
You see. Wow. All right,
David in Colorado, you're on the Stephanie Miller Show. Hi, David.
Hello, Stephanie. Nice to talk to you.
Thank you. You too.
I was listening to, I'm not trying to promote any other show, but I was listening to Melissa Hurst.
How dare you?
Show.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know, and I apologize.
That's all right.
But this weekend, and she was talking to the ex-mayor of this town, and he was saying that he could not find qualified blacks to be on the police force.
Really?
He can't what?
Find qualified blacks to be on the police force.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So you can find enough blacks to go out and police a whole country, but you can't find enough blacks to police
right.
a city.
Yeah, that seems somewhat suspect in an area that is almost 70% African American. But nice try. Let's go to Rick in Illinois. You're on the Stephanie Miller Show. Hi, Rick. Welcome.
Good morning. I was holding for a long time because I wanted to say I'm an NRA member, and I'd like to have a conversation and have solutions and put stuff into practice to do something about carrying guns in public. And that to me is very poor. I mean, I could totally agree with anybody who is on the opposite of my political spectrum to say that there's got to be some way to implement what the NRA does on an NRA range. When you are at an NRA event,
people in some quarters seem newly concerned, though, that it's black people that are openly carrying.
Mm-hmm.
Why? A lot of people. There was no outrage expressed at Fox News over all the white people pointing rifles at federal officials at the Clive and Bundy Ranch, right?
Well, I was horrified by that. So
okay, good.
I'm pretty white, and I work at a gun store, and we sell a lot of guns to African Americans, to immigrants who are here legally. I mean, a lot of people want to buy guns now because they feel like their right to have a gun is going to be taken away.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to say that the NRA has very strict regulations for gun use, gun carrying, gun usage.
The NRA is not in charge of regulating guns.
Yeah.
The United States government is.
I know, but I'm part. You and I are part of the American government. We are part of the. We're going to set the laws. Stephanie Miller and me.
Right, but the NRA has helped sell an awful lot of guns based on fear mongering that someone's going to take your guns away, right?
And where are the NRA? Where are the NRA marching in favor of all these people in Ferguson to have a weapon in order to protect themselves against overzealous cops? Where's the NRA speaking up for those people?
Overzealous. Nobody owns guns to fight the police department. That's insane. Who would say an overzealous?
I don't think he said people are owning a gun to fight the police department.
To protect themselves against overzealous cops.
No way. If that's ridiculous. I don't own guns to fight the police department. If the police
he didn't say to fight the police department.
Overzealous cops? What, you're going to have Michael Brown walking around brandishing a pistol that is legal?
You know what? A lot of people go to Chipotle brandishing a pistol.
Michael Brown is dead, so he can't brandish anything, but okay. All right. I'm not even sure what the point was. But we're at a hard break, as they say in the radio business.
Oh, darn.
So we'll just have to let the rest of that go unsaid. Okay, 29 minutes after the hour, Bob Cesca next on the Stephanie Miller Show. 34 minutes after the hour. 1-800-STEPH-12, the phone number. Toll free from anywhere. Why, look what time of the week it is. Speaking of dreamy, hunky men, why, Bob Seska joins us now.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special broadcast.
You're cute and I love you, Bob Seska.
Where are you coming from?
Bob's calling us from Hawaii.
You Seska thing.
Go ahead, Honolulu.
Good morning, you Seska thing, you.
Good morning, Stephanie. How are you?
I am good, sir. Well, lots to talk about. Starting with Ferguson, which of course has gotten worse overnight. Yeah. What is your take on all of that?
Well, I think it's very similar to just about everybody's take, which is the Ferguson police, the St. Louis County police, need a lesson in proportional response.
Right.
That's basically the huge takeaway here. Putting the situation, the initial inciting incident with Michael Brown aside, the fact that the police have taken this approach to these protesters with, granted there has been some looting and violence and things like that, but they've completely overreacted and I don't know, perhaps intentionally inflamed the situation. And I don't understand why. And I think, like a lot of people, I'm just scratching my head because there's so much that I don't understand about all of this. And I wish someone would just take this over and put an end to it. I'm almost of the mind that if it wouldn't create a constitutional crisis, federalize the entire town.
Yeah, and Bob, Chris and I were talking a little bit about this too. It just seems like, you and I talk all the time about how partisan this country has gotten, but it even seems like issues like this, and particularly racial ones, and particularly since President Obama's been president, this stuff happens, and there's Al Sharpton and, and Chris Hayes and people from MSNBC on one side, and then you have Sean Hannity that only has the police chief on, and, so it seems like, there's two sides to every issue that becomes like that just exacerbates it, don't you think?
Yeah, that's right. That's what happens, and specifically in the case of Sean Hannity. This is just a matter of playing to his audience. Now, I don't think that Chris Hayes was necessarily the opposite of that.
That's not what I meant. I was just saying that,
I know.
Yeah, go ahead.
I totally know. I just presenting this in terms of Fox News being really, really obvious about their bias. And I think Chris Hayes and MSNBC, for its part, has presented a fairly unvarnished look at what's going on. And even Chris Hayes, for example, last night was getting rocks hurled at him.
Yeah, we played that audio earlier. It's horrifying. And I think you're right, and he's just, I think on the ground trying to get the story, but, I just think, I guess it makes you sad. I was talking to Charlie Pierce earlier about, you think, we've elected a black president, just when you think there's progress, you just think, wow, is this backlash, or is it backsliding on racial issues? But it's sad.
Yeah, I think what this is an example of is, I think an entire community in the United States really seeing an illustration of what they've witnessed personally, for many, many decades. And that specifically is what happened with Michael Brown, how the police are reacting to the protesters. And it's all, just another chapter in an ongoing show that I think African Americans in this country have had to deal with for way too long. And the example that I always bring up is the disparity between the police reaction, between law enforcement reaction at the Bundy Ranch versus police and law enforcement reaction in Ferguson, where at the Bundy Ranch, you want to talk about underreacting to a situation.
Yeah.
Armed secessionists marching in a line of battle against the federal government. Federal government retreats. Law enforcement retreats in the face of that. You have unarmed protesters in Ferguson, and you've got the biggest overreaction we've seen, since I can remember.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's time to talk about something we can all agree on, and that is that Sarah Palin is a dope. You alerted us.
Yes.
You alerted us to this latest video. Your headline is, in her new video, Sarah Palin opposes ground troops in Iraq and also supports ground troops in Iraq. And we played this audio yesterday. I will not torture my audience once again. But And you say, as you might suspect, her position is almost entirely incoherent.
It really, really is.
Yes.
Yeah.
She flip-flops within, I think you counted it, within 60 seconds? Right.
I don't understand what she's saying. And this is the second video in a row in which she's made zero sense at all.
Right.
You know, it's entirely incomprehensible, and I really try so hard to parse it and try to figure out, give her the benefit of the doubt and say,
right,
maybe she's actually saying something coherent here, and it's really never that. It's really
right.
It's patriotic Mad Libs. It's you insert words here and keep going, and it's, you know, the only thing missing is the word fart. If it was a real Mad Libs, the word fart.
Fart would be in there, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
And I bring this up not as a joke, but it is online today in Drink Nation. Does Sarah Palin need an alcohol intervention? I mean, this is something that a lot of people are talking about after the speech in Denver, and then this latest one on her sort of, it was, remember the response to Elizabeth Warren's speech that seemed to make no, I mean, I have to say, a lot of my friends, just been sending around these videos going, is she drunk or is she on something? I mean, and I don't know. I'm not saying that like that part as a joke.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I think the main problem here with Sarah Palin, other than being an idiot, is the fact that she's probably the least self-aware person in the United States, maybe in the entire world. She doesn't understand her depth, and so therefore she continues to wade out into the adult section of the pool, and she ends up sucking in water. I mean, that's just exactly what happened.
I love you quote her, if I were in charge, and you just write, gah, which I've only seen in like a Charlie Brown.
Yeah, that was a scary one.
Gah.
If I were in charge. That sends the imagination reeling, doesn't it?
You say, whenever I imagine how things would be like if you were in charge, Sarah, I begin to imagine a dystopia in which the White House is replaced by a 10,000 square foot clown shoe. And the following image is printed on our paper currency, and it's her winking and shooting a gun at the same time. Yes.
Yeah. Big derp face there, shooting that gun. And it's weird. I think you're supposed to keep your eyes open when you're firing a rifle. That's just me.
Yeah.
I mean, the previous video, which I think we've all heard that sound, where she's trying to explain, in response to Elizabeth Warren, she's trying to explain fast food restaurants and something about purgatory.
Yes.
That's the case where I think she was trying to improvise something clever and funny.
Right.
And it just didn't work. And again, that goes back to my overall observation that she doesn't know where she belongs. She doesn't understand that she's not good at this. And she needs to stop doing this.
You sum up, based on this latest video, the Sarah Palin doctrine. Number 1, announce that we're going to put a stop to the evildoers. Number 2, ask God to kill the evildoers. Number 3, if God can do it, send in the armed forces. Number 4, record awesome podcast.
I mean, that's really what she did in this ISIS video. She basically said, well, we're going to pray to God and hope that God takes care of this. But if he doesn't, then we have to send in our military. And I was thinking, so this is a task that's too arduous for God. And instead we're going to send in the military. If God can't do it, how the hell will our soldiers do this?
Right.
And it's just completely ill-conceived.
Yep. So Hillary Clinton is finally going back to Iowa. I can't imagine what that's about, Bob. I have no clue, but we didn't have a chance last week. We've had so much breaking news. Your piece about the president talking about Democrats are generally fact-based and reason-based while the GOP denies science. And that part, I think, is largely true. But it's interesting going into this next election cycle. I think you warn of something, that sometimes Democrats are good at, and that is, shooting ourselves in the foot, right?
Oh, yeah.
What you were talking about, you say if you happen to have noted the political realities involved in turning the ship of state, you've probably been tarred with the Obama bot label, which both you and I have. The collective scolding of anyone who refuses to blindly and indiscriminately scold the president. regardless of the facts, is sadly another characteristic of the far left's disconnection at times with political sanity. Broadly speaking, the far left appears utterly incapable of realizing that change is slow, incremental, and impure. And I know we've all gotten those emails already, like Hillary's worse than the neocons, she's a corporatist, this, that, the other, right? And this at a time when their complete field is in disarray, I think, on the Republican side, right?
Yeah. Well, my, of course, analysis of the would-be Clinton campaign is basically from experience. I'm old enough to remember 2008, and I understand how, and even 1992 and 1996, I understand how the Clintons run their campaigns, and there's going to be some good weeks, there's going to be some bad weeks. Generally, it's going to be chaotic, because it always is. Whether you're going to vote for her or not, there are just going to be those weeks when we all do a facepalm and go, what the hell is she doing now? And then there are going to be other weeks that say, okay, well, good. Like she might be really up for this, and she's making all the right moves. So
right.
I was preparing Clinton activists for that, because it's been a while,
right?
But this is how they do things.
And I think we should have a fair, vigorous primary, all of that. But I agree with you, Bob, that I think we just have to. It's interesting. I remember this. You say you talked about the kill the bill, big names when big names on the far left refused to accept anything short of single payer. Therefore, the ACA was a weak and a betrayal of progressive values. Interesting, but you were saying that there has been this sort of, like, to be taken seriously, it's like, we have to be as tough on President Obama. But the problem is they don't play by the same rules on their side, right?
Yeah. Well, I think, speaking for the left, I think there was a preconceived idea going into this current administration that because of how the Bush administration was treated, in order to somehow, be intellectually honest, we have to confront this current administration with the same vigor and the same accountability that we confronted the previous administration. Well, that's fine, and I think that's an interesting and valid way to approach things. I think it got twisted and bastardized into something else, where that idea, which is a very noble one, got turned into, I don't care what he does, we're going to screech just nonstop in his face.
Well, you point out a few things. You say that, when landmark actions such as the overturning of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, historic passage of the ACA, and the stimulus were downplayed as weak genuflections to the center right without acknowledging any of the long-term impact as it pertains to reversing the politics of the previous decade. So, yeah, I on each of those issues was making that same argument at the time.
Yeah. For me personally, and this is getting beyond political analysis, for me personally, my life is way better than it was before Obama took office. For the first time since 2005, I have health insurance. I have affordable health insurance. I was able to go in and see a doctor for $30. That's something that I never would have been able to do had it not been for this president. The same goes for the stimulus. The guy, basically rescued the economy from a second Great Depression. That's
right, but the way you get a bigger stimulus or strengthen health care is to put a Democrat in the White House. Rather than say I'm going to stay home. Yeah.
And today I wrote a post today about James Risen's quote from Maureen Dowd's column over the weekend, where she said that the president is the greatest enemy to press freedom in a generation. And I said, again, this is all part of that overall approach, which is now it's a marketing ploy. It's a target demographic they're shooting for in terms of just piling on without any regard to the facts. And I don't care. People are just, he's just being an Obama bot. But this is an observation of comparable reality from one administration to another. And if you look at the facts, no, this administration hasn't been the greatest enemy to press freedom in a generation.
Right.
If you look at the previous administration, even the administration before that, there were journalists jailed, there were journalists placed under surveillance, all kinds of things. At the very least charitable analysis, this president is basically on par with all other previous presidents when it comes to that qualification.
Yeah, absolutely. Great stuff as always. We will talk to you next week. I kept you long because I'm very clingy with you.
I don't mind at all.
All right, Bob. See you next week.
Okay.
All right, there he goes, Bob Seska,
Hooray.
who is to Seska for his shirt and his hat and his cat.
Yeah.
49 minutes after the hour, right back on the Stephanie Miller Show. My kitty loves SM show and radio guy Chris. Look, you stupid cat is watching us. Now the cat's watching us watch him.
It's, yeah.
Oh, did I? Hang on. All right, hang on. There he is. There's the kitty watching us. Now the kitty's watching us watch him. Oh, kitty, no. You have good taste in programming. Okay, 1-800-STEPH-1-2, the phone number, toll free from anywhere. Thank God I'm just in my retweeting and favoriting phase on Twitter.
Why?
Because Justin Timberlake is getting in all kinds of trouble.
Uh-oh.
He called Madonna his ninja. Outrage ensues.
Why?
I wouldn't have known that either. He wrote, "A happiest of B-days to my mother-chucking ninja, Madonna. It was her birthday. Have a great one."
Why is ninja?
Almost immediately, Twitter exploded. Twitter users calling him out for the use of the word, which is viewed by many as a substitute for the N-word. I did not know that. See?
That's the first I've heard of that.
See? I could presumably make things worse in Missouri if I were still on Twitter.
Weren't we saying ninja throwing stars earlier this week for something?
Yes. Okay. All right. More importantly, the Jonas Brothers. You know, trying to do something for the kids here.
Okay. The kids about 10 years ago.
He just turned 25 with the world's smallest stripper.
Oh.
He celebrated his landmark birthday on Friday at in the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, where he was receiving a lap dance from Little Spinner, who is known as the world's smallest stripper. He was also serenaded by another performer known as Mini Miley Cyrus.
Oh.
No word on if Sir Mix-a-Little was there.
I like big butts and I cannot lie. You other brothers think deny. When a girl walks in with an itty bitty waist and around thick in your face, you get sprung. Wanna pull up quick 'cause you know that butt is stuck. These are the jeans she's wearing. I'm hooked and I can't stop staring. Oh baby, I wanna get whipped out.
All right. Nothing to replace my love of the mini bands. You know, I want mini. Which mini do I want? Oh, Mini Gaga. I want to play my wedding, my fictional wedding.
I don't have that.
That's okay. Speaking of big gay weddings,
I think Mini Miley Cyrus and Mini Gaga are the same person.
I think so too. So it's so hard to find good little help these days. You know how it is. Portia de Rossi surprised Ellen DeGeneres.
How much help do you need? Just a little.
There's been rumors of trouble in paradise, Portia and Ellen.
I've heard.
You know what you do to solve that? You get a skywriter. She wrote a message in the sky to celebrate their 6-year wedding anniversary. It just said 6. They did a selfie, as you do, with there was a skywriter that wrote 6 in the sky behind them.
Aw.
So maybe everything's fine.
Or maybe they just did that for Instagram.
Exactly. I think this is a leap forward, though, proving that we can get married and screw them up just as well as straight people. Hopefully they're okay. Neil Patrick Harris has silenced breakup rumors. He shot down rumors he's splitting from his fiancée. How? On Twitter.
On Instagram.
Or Instagram. Yes, you do. Actually, yes, by posting an adoring picture on Instagram of his husband and their twins.
All right.
If only we had Instagram back in the day. Sarah Jessica Parker was a bridesmaid over the weekend at a big straight wedding, and it's her former assistant.
Oh, good.
Yeah, right? And we had her on the show, remember, during the...
Sarah Jessica Parker?
And I'm not saying this because she said she's a big fan, but she just seems really cool and down to earth.
Well, weren't you at her house for some reason?
No, not by invitation.
Oh, you broke in, that's right.
I don't remember. Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Martin are reportedly, consciously coupling, I guess, after being consciously uncoupled from Gwyneth Paltrow.
All right.
She is also adorable, in my opinion. All right, let's... Oh, this I mentioned to Bob before we go. Hillary Clinton, I cannot imagine what this is about, Chris. She's going back to Iowa for the first time since 2008.
Why would anybody go to Iowa?
To Senator Tom Harkin's annual steak fry. Democrats in Iowa are going to come out to show their affection and thanks for Bill and Hillary for all they've done, Harkin said. They're also going to be anxious to let Hillary and Bill know they have a lot of friends in Iowa. Iowa. Why would that be important to have a lot of friends in Iowa? Oh, by the way, and somebody said that this is how we could get Hillary booked. You can win a visit from the Hillary bus and a pizza party with 10 friends. I'm going to sign us up for that.
I don't think Hillary's going to be on the bus.
I have $3. You can chip in $3.
I don't think Hillary's going to be on the bus.
I think we could trick her into coming here. Okay. That's it for us. We'll see you tomorrow on the Stephanie Miller Show.